For better or for worse, they said. Well, right now it's feeling a whole lot like for worse. I grip the steering wheel of my beat-up Honda, knuckles white, as I pull into the driveway of my mother-in-law's sprawling Victorian home. The sight of it looming before me sends a shiver down my spine, despite the warm spring air. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's to come. It's Sunday, which means another dreaded family dinner with Marion, my husband Elliot's overbearing mother. As I kill the engine, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the rearview mirror. At 42, I'm no spring chicken. But the stress of these weekly gatherings is etching new lines around my eyes. The front door swings open before I can even knock, and there she stands, Marion, perfectly coiffed and wearing an expression that's equal parts saccharine and judgmental. "Eliza, darling, you're late," she trills, pulling me into a hug that feels more like a stranglehold. "Sorry, Marion, got held up at the hospital," I explain, extricating myself from her grasp. She tsk, shaking her head. "I don't know why you insist on working those long hours. A wife should be home, taking care of her husband." I bite my tongue, resisting the urge to remind her that I'm a nurse, not a 1950s housewife. Instead, I force a smile. "Is Elliot here yet?" "Oh no, he called to say he'd be another hour. Some emergency at the ER, I'm sure." She waves a dismissive hand, as if her son's life-saving work is a mere inconvenience. Great. An hour alone with Marion, just what I needed. I follow her into the living room, where she's laid out an elaborate spread of finger sandwiches and petit fours. As I sink into an overstuffed armchair, she begins her usual interrogation. "So, Eliza, when are you two planning on giving me grandchildren?" I nearly choke on my tea. "We've only been married 6 months, Marion. We're not quite ready for that yet," she sighs dramatically. "At your age, dear, you can't afford to wait. Tick-tock, as they say." My jaw clenches. I'm about to retort when my phone buzzes. It's a text from Elliot. "Stuck in surgery. Won't make it. So sorry, babe. I'll make it up to you." I show Marion the message, and her face falls. "Well, I suppose that's that," she says, her disappointment palpable. Though I don't see why he couldn't have sent someone else to handle it. When his father was alive, he never missed a family dinner. "Marion, Elliot's a doctor. He can't just walk away from a patient in need," I explain, trying to keep my voice level. She sniffs. "I'm sure there are plenty of other doctors there. Really, Eliza, you should encourage him to prioritize his family more." I take a deep breath, counting to 10 in my head. Elliot loves his job, and he's damn good at it. I won't ask him to compromise that. Marion's eyes narrow. "Language, dear, and perhaps if you had a more traditional career you'd understand the importance of family obligations." That does it. I stand up, my hands shaking. My career as a nurse is just as important as Elliot's. I save lives too, Marion, and I won't apologize for that. She looks taken aback by my outburst. "Well, I was only trying to help, Eliza. No need to get so defensive." I grab my purse, heading for the door. "I think it's best if I go. Please tell Elliot I'll see him at home." As I reach for the doorknob, Marion calls out, "Oh, Eliza, don't forget we have that family reunion coming up next month. I expect you and Elliot to be there." I freeze, my hand on the door. The family reunion. A whole weekend of this, multiplied by dozens of relatives. My stomach churns at the thought. "We'll see what we can do," I manage, before escaping into the fading sunlight. As I drive home, my mind races. How much more of this can I take? Something has to change, and soon. Otherwise, I fear this tension with Marion might just tear my marriage apart. I collapse onto our couch, exhausted from another grueling shift at the hospital. The front door opens and Elliot walks in, his face lighting up when he sees me. "Hey, beautiful," he says, leaning down to kiss me. I nod, grateful for his understanding. "Nothing a little TLC can't fix. How about you? Any exciting surgeries today, Dr. Hotshot?" He chuckles, settling beside me. "Just the usual. But hey, I've got some good news that might cheer you up." My interest peaks. "Oh, do tell." Elliot grins, his eyes sparkling. "I managed to get 2 weeks off next month. I was thinking, maybe it's time we finally took that honeymoon?" I sit up straight, my fatigue forgotten. "Are you serious? Elliot, that's fantastic." He pulls out his tablet, already scrolling through vacation packages. "I was thinking somewhere tropical, maybe Hawaii or the Caribbean." As we huddle together, excitedly planning our long-awaited getaway, the doorbell rings. Elliot jumps up to answer it, and I hear Marion's voice floating in from the entryway. Surprise, darlings. I thought I'd drop by with some of my famous pot roast. I stifle a groan as Marion sweeps into the living room, her eyes immediately zeroing in on the vacation listings on the tablet. Oh, how lovely. Are you two planning a trip? Elliot nods, his enthusiasm evident. We're finally taking our honeymoon, Mom. It's been 6 months after all. Marion's face falls for a split second before she plasters on a smile. That's wonderful, dear. Where are you thinking of going? As Elliot starts describing our ideas, I notice a calculating look in Marion's eyes. My stomach tightens, sensing trouble brewing. You know, Marion interrupts, I've always wanted to visit Hawaii, the culture, the beaches. It sounds divine. I freeze, a sense of dread washing over me. She wouldn't. Mom, Elliot begins cautiously, this is kind of meant to be just for Eliza and me. You know, a romantic getaway? Marion's lower lip trembles. Oh, of course. It's just, I've been feeling so lonely lately, and I thought, well, never mind. You two enjoy yourselves. I watch as guilt flickers across Elliot's face. No. Well, he says slowly, I suppose we could look into booking an adjoining room for you, Mom. What do you think, Eliza? I'm speechless, torn between fury and disbelief. Our honeymoon, our chance to finally have some uninterrupted time together, and Marion's hijacking it right before my eyes. Eliza? Elliot prompts, looking at me expectantly. I open my mouth, ready to protest, when suddenly a wild idea strikes me. If Marion wants to play games, two can play. You know what? I say, forcing a bright smile. I think that's a wonderful idea. The more the merrier, right? Elliot looks surprised but pleased. Marion, however, seems taken aback by my easy acquiescence. Really, dear? You don't mind? Not at all, I reply, my tone saccharine. In fact, why don't you help us plan the itinerary? I'm sure you have lots of ideas for activities we can all do together. As Marion launches into a litany of suggestions, I catch Elliot's eye. He mouths a, thank you, clearly relieved to have avoided a confrontation. If only he knew what I was really thinking. While Marion chatters on about luau's and snorkeling trips, my mind races. This is it. My chance to finally show Elliot the truth about his mother's manipulative behavior. By the end of this honeymoon, he'll see Marion for who she really is, and will finally be free of her constant interference. Oh, Eliza, Marion gushes, reaching out to pat my hand. I'm so glad you're on board with this. It'll be just like having a daughter again. I smile back, squeezing her hand perhaps a bit too tightly. I can't wait, Marion. It's going to be a trip we'll never forget. As I meet her gaze, a silent challenge passes between us. Game on, Marion. Game on. The moment Marion leaves our house, I spring into action. My mind races with possibilities as I pull out my laptop and start researching our honeymoon destination. If Marion wants to play Happy Families, I'll give her a show she'll never forget. Eliza? Elliot's voice interrupts my furious typing. What are you doing? I look up, plastering on a smile. Just getting a head start on our trip planning, honey. Your mother seemed so excited, I thought I'd surprise her with some ideas. Elliot's face softens. You're amazing, you know that? Most women would be furious about their mother-in-law crashing their honeymoon. If only you knew, I think, but outwardly I just shrug. Well, you know what they say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. He laughs, clearly thinking I'm joking. Mom can be a bit much sometimes, but she means well. I'm just glad you two are getting along. I nod, biting back the urge to tell him exactly how his mother means well. Instead, I turn the laptop towards him. What do you think about these activities? I was thinking we could do some couples massages, romantic sunset dinners. Sounds perfect, he says, kissing the top of my head. But what about Mom? I smile sweetly. Oh, don't worry, I've got plenty planned for Marion too. Over the next few days, I throw myself into planning our perfect family honeymoon. I book adjoining rooms at a luxurious resort, making sure Marion's room is close enough to ours that she can't complain, but far enough that we'll have some privacy. I schedule a mix of group activities and couples experiences, carefully crafting each day to showcase the difference between our newlywed bliss and Marion's solitary status. As I finalize the itinerary, my phone buzzes with a text from Marion. Just checking on the honeymoon plans, dear. I do hope you're including some family activities. I grit my teeth, typing back. Of course, Marion. Can't wait to share all the details with you. That evening, I present my master plan to Elliot over dinner. I've got it all worked out, I announce, sliding a printed itinerary across the table. Look, I've even scheduled some mother-son bonding time for you and Marion. Elliot's eyes widen as he scans the document. Wow, Eliza, this is incredibly detailed. But are you sure about all this? It seems like a lot of separate activities. I reach across the table, squeezing his hand. Trust me, honey. This way we all get what we want. You get quality time with your mom, we get our romantic moments, and Marion gets to be included. Everyone wins. He nods slowly, still looking uncertain. If you're sure? Absolutely, I assure him, my voice dripping with sincerity. In fact, why don't we invite Marion over tomorrow to go through the itinerary together? I'm sure she'll love it. The next day, Marion arrives promptly at 6 p.m., practically buzzing with excitement. Oh, I can hardly wait to hear what you've planned, Eliza, dear. I smile, handing her a copy of the itinerary. I think you'll be pleased, Marion. I've made sure to include plenty of family time. As Marion's eyes dart across the page, her expression shifts from excitement to confusion, then to barely concealed disappointment. But what about all these couples' activities? And why am I scheduled for a day trip to a neighboring island while you two have a romantic beach picnic? Well, we wouldn't want you to miss out on the full island experience, I explained smoothly. And of course, Elliot and I do need some alone time. This is our honeymoon, after all. Marion's lips purse, but before she can protest, Elliot chimes in. I think it looks great, Mom. Eliza's put a lot of thought into this. I watch as Marion struggles to maintain her composure, clearly torn between her desire to control the situation and her need to keep up appearances. Finally, she forces a smile. Of course, dear. It's lovely. I'm sure we'll have a wonderful time. As she leaves, I catch a glimpse of the thunderous expression on her face. My heart races with a mix of anticipation and dread. The game is on, and the stakes have never been higher. One way or another, this honeymoon will change everything. The days leading up to our honeymoon fly by in a whirlwind of preparations and barely concealed tension. I'm meticulously packing our suitcases when Elliot walks in, his face creased with worry. Eliza, can we talk? He asks, perching on the edge of our bed. I pause, a knot forming in my stomach. Of course, honey. What's wrong? He sighs, running a hand through his hair. It's Mom. She called me at work today, upset about the itinerary. She feels like we're trying to exclude her. I force myself to remain calm, though my heart is racing. That's ridiculous. We've included her in plenty of activities. I know, Elliot says, his voice tinged with frustration. But she's threatening to back out of the trip altogether. She says if we don't want her there, she'll just stay home. For a moment, wild hope surges through me. Could it really be this easy? But then I see the pain in Elliot's eyes, and I know I can't let him down. We can't let that happen, I say, surprising even myself with my vehemence. This trip means so much to you, having both of us there. I'll talk to her, smooth things over. Elliot's face lights up with relief. You'd do that? Oh, Eliza, you're amazing. I don't know what I'd do without you. As he pulls me into a hug, guilt gnaws at my insides. What am I doing? Am I any better than Marion, manipulating the situation like this? But it's too late to back down now. That afternoon, I drive to Marion's house armed with a revised itinerary and a plan. Marion answers the door, her face a mask of cold politeness. Eliza, what a surprise. Hi, Marion, I say, forcing a smile. I heard you were having second thoughts about the trip. I wanted to come by and clear the air. She ushers me inside, and we sit in her overly formal living room. I pull out the new itinerary, launching into my carefully prepared speech. I realize now that our original plan might have seemed a bit exclusionary, I begin. So I've made some changes. Look, I've added more group activities, and I've even scheduled some one-on-one time for you and me to get to know each other better. Marion's eyebrows shoot up in surprise. You and me? Really? I nod, warming to my performance. Of course. We're family now, Marion. I want us to be close. As we go through the new schedule, I can see Marion's resistance crumbling. By the time I leave, she's not only back on board with the trip, but actually seems excited about it. Back in my car, I let out a long, shaky breath. I've done it. I've secured Marion's participation in her own undoing. But at what cost? That night, as Elliot and I lay in bed, he turns to me with a tender smile. I don't know how you did it, but Mom called me gushing about how wonderful you are. She can't wait for the trip now. I force a smile, guilt churning in my stomach. That's great, honey. I'm glad we worked it out. As Elliot drifts off to sleep, I lie awake, staring at the ceiling. What have I become in my quest to expose Marion? Am I turning into the very thing I despise? But then I remember all the snide comments, the constant criticism, the way Marion has tried to come between Elliot and me from day one. No, I decide. I'm not like her. I'm protecting my marriage, my happiness. This is necessary. With newfound resolve, I begin to mentally prepare for the trip ahead. In just a few days, we'll be jetting off to California, and the real game will begin. I've set the stage perfectly. Now it's time to watch Marion's true colors come to light. As I finally drift off to sleep, one thought echoes in my mind. There's no turning back now. The California sun beats down on us as we step out of the airport shuttle. I inhale deeply, savoring the salty ocean air. This is it. Our honeymoon has finally begun. Oh, isn't this lovely? Marion chirps, her eyes darting around the resort's lavish entrance. Elliot, be a dear and help me with my bags. I catch Elliot's eye and give him a reassuring smile. Go ahead, honey. I've got our luggage. As they walk ahead, I trail behind, wheeling our suitcases and mentally reviewing my plan. Phase 1. Make sure Marion feels included, but not too included. At check-in, I put on my best smile. We have 3 rooms booked under Eliza Thompson, 2 adjoining and 1 nearby. The receptionist nods, tapping away at her computer. Ah, yes. We have you and Mr. Thompson in a beachfront suite, and Mrs. Thompson Sr. in a garden view room on the floor above. Marion's head snaps up. Garden view, but I thought... It's the only room available that was close to ours, Marion, I interject smoothly. I'm sure the view is lovely. Before she can protest further, I usher us all towards the elevators. As we ride up, I can feel the tension radiating off Marion in waves. The next morning, I wake early, slipping out of bed without disturbing Elliot. I have a busy day ahead, and everything needs to go perfectly. We meet Marion for breakfast, where I've arranged a special surprise. Look, Marion, I say, handing her an envelope. I've booked you a full day at the spa. Massages, facials, the works. Her eyes light up, but then narrow suspiciously. That's very thoughtful, Eliza, but what will you 2 be doing? I wave my hand dismissively. Oh, just some boring couples activities. Trust me, you're not missing out. As soon as Marion's whisked away to the spa, I turn to Elliot with a mischievous grin. Ready for our adventure, honey? We spend the day snorkeling in crystal-clear waters, picnicking on a secluded beach, and taking a romantic sunset sail. It's everything I've dreamed our honeymoon would be. But as we return to the resort, glowing and sandy, we run smack into Marion in the lobby. Her face is thunderous. Where have you 2 been? She demands. I've been trying to reach you all day. Elliot looks guilty. Sorry, Mom, we must not have had cell service on the boat. Boat? Marion's voice rises an octave. You went sailing without me? I step in, my voice soothing. It was a last-minute thing, Marion. How was your spa day? But Marion isn't mollified. She launches into a tirade about feeling excluded and how this isn't what she expected from a family vacation. As she rants, I notice Elliot's face falling, the joy from our perfect day evaporating. Something inside me snaps. Enough, I interrupt, my voice sharper than I intended. Marion, this is our honeymoon. Elliot and I deserve to have some time alone. We've included you in plenty of activities, but you can't expect to be with us at every minute. The lobby falls silent. Elliot looks shocked, and Marion looks like she's been slapped. Well, she says, her voice icy, I see how it is. I'll just go back to my room and leave you 2 alone, shall I? As she stalks off, Elliot turns to me, his expression a mix of confusion and hurt. Eliza, what's gotten into you? That's not like you at all. I open my mouth to explain, to defend myself, but the words stick in my throat. What can I say? That I've been plotting to expose his mother's selfishness? That I've been manipulating this entire trip? In that moment, I realize I've reached a crossroads. Do I come clean to Elliot about everything, risking our relationship in the process? Or do I double down on my plan, potentially losing myself in the process? As Elliot waits for my response, I know I have to make a decision. And whatever I choose, nothing will ever be the same again. The morning after my outburst, I wake to find Elliot's side of the bed empty. A note on his pillow reads, "Gone for a walk, need to clear my head." My stomach churns with guilt and anxiety. I drag myself to breakfast, where I find Marion sitting alone, stirring her coffee with sharp, angry movements. She looks up as I approach, her eyes cold. Well, if it isn't the blushing bride, she says, her voice dripping with sarcasm, come to exclude me from something else? I take a deep breath, reminding myself of my ultimate goal. Marian, I'm sorry about yesterday. I was hoping we could start fresh today. She sniffs dismissively. I'm sure you were. Where's Elliot? He went for a walk, I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. Listen, I thought maybe we could spend some time together today, just the two of us. Marian's eyebrows shoot up in surprise. Oh? And what did you have in mind? I force a smile. How about a spa day? My treat. As we sit side by side getting pedicures, the tension between us is palpable. Marian keeps making little digs about my temper and how Elliot deserves someone more even-keeled. I'm about to snap back when my phone buzzes. It's a text from Elliot. Where are you? We need to talk. My heart races. I'm sorry, Marian, I say, standing up abruptly. I need to go. I find Elliot pacing in our room, his face a mask of confusion and hurt. Eliza, what's going on? First, you blow up at my mother, and now you're spending the day with her? I feel like I don't even know you anymore. The words tumble out before I can stop them. I'm trying to show you what she's really like, Elliot. She's manipulative and controlling, and she's trying to come between us. Elliot's face hardens. Is that what this whole trip has been about? Some scheme to turn me against my own mother? No. Yes, but I falter, realizing how it all sounds. Elliot, you have to understand. He holds up a hand, cutting me off. I need some time to think. I'm going to dinner with Mom. Alone. As the door closes behind him, I collapse onto the bed, my carefully laid plans crumbling around me. Hours later, I'm startled awake by raised voices in the hallway. I creep to the door, listening. I can't believe you're taking her side. Marian's shrill voice pierces through the wood. I'm not taking sides, Mom, Elliot replies, his voice strained. I'm just saying that maybe Eliza had a point about boundaries. Boundaries? I'm your mother. Yes, and Eliza is my Y partner. You need to respect that. I hear Marian's sharp intake of breath. I see. Well, if that's how you feel, perhaps it's best if I go home early. Mom, don't be dramatic. No, I know when I'm not wanted, I'll book a flight for tomorrow. As their voices fade, I sink to the floor, my emotions a tangled mess. I've won, haven't I? Marian's leaving, and Elliot seems to be seeing things my way. So why do I feel so hollow? The door opens, and Elliot steps in, looking exhausted. His eyes meet mine, and I see a mixture of love, disappointment, and uncertainty swirling in their depths. Eliza, he says softly, we need to talk, about everything. I nod, my throat tight. This is it, the moment of truth. As I stand to face my husband, I realize that the outcome of this conversation will determine not just the fate of our honeymoon, but the future of our marriage. With a deep breath, I prepare to lay it all on the line, knowing that once the words leave my mouth, there's no going back. The game I've been playing is about to end, one way or another. The flight home is tense, with Marian pointedly ignoring me and Elliot caught in the middle. As we touch down, I feel a mix of relief and dread. The honeymoon may be over, but I know the real battle is just beginning. Days pass, and an uneasy quiet settles over our lives. Elliot and I tiptoe around each other, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. I'm about to suggest we finally have that talk when my phone buzzes with a message from my sister. Have you seen Marian's Facebook post? Call me ASAP. My heart racing, I pull up Marian's page. There, in black and white, is a lengthy post detailing how I ruined the honeymoon, complete with out-of-context photos that make me look distant and uninterested. The comments are filled with sympathetic responses from relatives and friends, all consoling poor Marian for having such a cold, manipulative daughter-in-law. I'm still staring at the screen in disbelief when Elliot walks in. Eliza, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Wordlessly, I hand him my phone. As he reads, his face darkens. I can't believe she'd do this, he mutters. Can't you? I say, my voice bitter. This is exactly what I've been trying to tell you about her. Elliot runs a hand through his hair, looking torn. I'll talk to her, make her take it down. But before he can make the call, my phone starts blowing up with notifications. Relatives I haven't spoken to in years are suddenly messaging me, some offering sympathy, others demanding explanations. It's as if the floodgates have opened, and years of Marian's subtle manipulations are finally coming to light. I always thought it was strange how Marion talked about you, my cousin writes. Now I see what was really going on. Remember that Christmas when Marion accidentally spilled wine on your dress? Another message reads. I bet that wasn't an accident at all. As I scroll through the messages, a strange mix of vindication and sadness washes over me. I'm finally being heard, but at what cost? Elliot paces the room, alternating between anger at his mother and confusion about the situation. I don't understand, he says. Why would she do this? Why now? I take a deep breath, knowing it's time for complete honesty. Elliot, sit down. There's something I need to tell you. Over the next hour, I lay it all out. Every snide comment, every backhanded compliment, every time Marion tried to come between us. I tell him about my plan for the honeymoon, how I'd hoped to expose Marion's true nature. I know it was wrong, I finish, tears streaming down my face. I should have been honest with you from the start. I was just so afraid of losing you. Elliot sits in stunned silence for what feels like an eternity. Finally, he speaks. I had no idea it was this bad. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because she's your mother, I say softly. I didn't want to make you choose. He takes my hand, his eyes filled with a mix of love and determination. You're my wife, Eliza. We're a team. From now on, no more secrets, okay? I nod, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Just then, Elliot's phone rings. It's Marion. I have to take this, he says, his jaw set. It's time I set some boundaries. As he answers the call, stepping into the other room, I sink onto the couch, emotionally drained. I know we're not out of the woods yet. Marion won't go down without a fight, and there are still wounds to heal in our marriage. But for the first time in a long time, I feel hope. Whatever comes next, Elliot and I will face it together. And that, I realize, is the real victory. Not exposing Marion, but strengthening our bond as a couple. As I hear Elliot's voice rise from the other room, I steel myself for what's to come. The final showdown with Marion looms, and I know it will test us all. But I'm ready. We're ready. 5 years have passed since that tumultuous honeymoon, and life has settled into a rhythm I never thought possible. Elliot and I stand in our nursery, putting the finishing touches on the pale yellow walls. I rest a hand on my swollen belly, feeling our daughter kick. She's feisty, I laugh. Just like her mom. Elliot wraps his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. God help us if she's got your stubbornness and my mother's tenacity. We both freeze for a moment at the mention of Marion. It's been years since we've spoken to her, the aftermath of the honeymoon and her Facebook tirade, creating a chasm too wide to bridge. Elliot had tried in those early days to maintain some sort of relationship, but Marion's refusal to acknowledge her behavior or apologize to me had made it impossible. As if summoned by our thoughts, the doorbell rings. We exchange puzzled glances. We're not expecting anyone. Elliot goes to answer while I waddle behind, curiosity getting the better of me. I hear her voice before I see her. Elliot, darling, surprise! My blood runs cold. Marion, she breezes past Elliot, her arms laden with gift bags, and stops short when she sees me. Her eyes widen at my pregnant belly. Eliza, she says, her voice a mix of shock and something else. Regret? I had no idea. For a moment we all stand frozen, the weight of years of silence and hurt hanging between us. Then Elliot steps forward, his voice firm but not unkind. Mom, what are you doing here? Marion's composure cracks. I missed you. Both of you. When I heard through the grapevine that you were expecting, I realized how much I'd lost, how much I'd thrown away with my pride and my need to control everything. She turns to me, her eyes brimming with tears. Eliza, I know I have no right to ask this, but can we start over? I want to be a part of your lives, of my grandchild's life. I've been in therapy, trying to understand why I acted the way I did. I know now how wrong I was, how much I hurt you both. I feel Elliot tense beside me, ready to defend me if needed. But as I look at Marion, really look at her, I see something I've never seen before. Vulnerability. Humility. The mask of perfection she always wore has crumbled, revealing a woman who's finally facing her own flaws. Taking a deep breath, I make a decision that surprises even me. Would you like to see the nursery? Marion's face lights up with hope. As we show her around the cheerful yellow room, I feel a shift in the air. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's a start. Later that night, as Elliot and I lay in bed, he turns to me with wonder in his eyes. I can't believe you did that. After everything she put you through. I shrug, my hand resting on my belly. I did it for her, I say, nodding towards our unborn daughter. And for us. I don't want her growing up in a family torn apart by grudges. Besides, I add with a small smile, your mom's not the only one who's changed. I've learned a thing or two about forgiveness and second chances. Elliot pulls me close, kissing my forehead. You're amazing, you know that? As I drift off to sleep, I reflect on the journey that brought us here. The battles fought, the tears shed, the hard-won victories. I think about the woman I was 5 years ago, so desperate to prove herself, to win at any cost. And I think about the woman I am now, stronger, wiser, and finally at peace. Tomorrow, we'll take the first tentative steps towards rebuilding our relationship with Marion. It won't be easy, and there will be setbacks. But as I feel my daughter move inside me, I'm filled with hope for the future. A future where love, understanding, and forgiveness triumph over past hurts. In the end, isn't that what family is all about?